Hello, it is I, Robbie. Welcome to the Sunshine Archives and another 5 a.m. session. We're doing it. We are so committed. So in today's video, I'm just going to go over a couple cards I created at the very end of July that I did not show to you. And I'm going to be going over how I'm annotating this book in preparation for them becoming index cards for my system. And then if we have time, we'll create a couple cards and I'll show you what that looks like. And if not, we'll do that in the next one. Okay, so let's go ahead and go over the cards that made it into the system at the very end of July. So one of them is a Commonplace card and one of them is a zettel. I have not numbered it yet because I don't know how many death cards are in my Commonplace box. But both of these are from the book, The Unabridged Journals of Sylvia Plath, a book I've been reading again and again and again for a very long time. I usually make it, I'm gonna say like around this far, and then I never finish it. And then I have like the compulsion to start over as opposed to continuing. So I have made a promise to myself that no matter how long it takes me to read this book, that I am going to continue where I left off so that I can finally make it through the book. So the Unabridged Journals of Sylvia Plath. So here is the Commonplace card, which will go in the Commonplace box under the topic of death. So on page 75, she says, that fragile, miraculously knit organism, which interprets them, endows them with meaning, will move about for a little, then falter, fail, and decompose, all lost into the anonymous soil, voiceless, faceless, without identity. And the reason I wrote this one down was because I literally give meaning to everything. Everything has purpose, and I give everything purpose so that I have meaning, so that I have purpose. And that last bit is just so morbid, and you don't have to become, like, Girly did not become anonymous and voiceless and faceless. Like, I literally am holding her voice and her face in my hands. And even if I wasn't, like, her family would have, you know? I don't know. But it's also something that scares me. Like, I'm going to live and then I'm going to be forgotten, and do things actually have meaning? And then I get all existential and then have panic attacks. So, Sylvia Plath. Okay. And then this is a zettel. So it's just an original thought that I had while reading the book. And I tagged it under names and humans. The Unabridged Journals of Sylvia Plath, again, page 75, are all defined momentarily through the consciousness of the being. Is it human to name? Do animals have names for each other and the world around them? Why do we name things? Why is it so important? Do names shape reality? Could I write without a name? I wonder if trees understand each other. Do insects speak on the leaves they lay on? Is there power in a name? Do we become nameless when we die? So that's my original creative writing that I was inspired by when reading this page of the Unabridged Journals of Sylvia Plath. So let's put them into our systems. This is the Commonplace box, so I will find the topic of death. It is alphabetical. Here it is. There are 5 on death, so this will be number 6. And then the Zettelkasten. Let's see. Zettels. I have 20 zettels, so this would be 21. Perfect. Okay, now let's go over A Poetry Handbook and how I'm annotating it in preparation for adding it to the systems later on. So the first thing I've done is that I've created a key as I go along for like what each tab color means. You don't have to use tabs, you can just use highlighters, you can do like underlines and circles, and maybe like underlines mean one thing, circles mean another thing, brackets mean another thing. And then it's a friction pen, so it's erasable, and these are removable in case I change my mind about the colors or the categories along the way. So blue, let me see if I zoom you in a little bit more. Okay. Blue is for definitions of poetry, so how the author defines what poetry is. Yellow is for anything that's beautiful, pretty, relatable. Purple is something that will end up in a commonplace box because A, it fits a category that I already have, or B, it reminds me of another quote. So maybe there's a quote about writing that reminds me about another quote about writing, and then I want to commonplace both of those. The green is an original thought or a zettel, so these two will for sure end up in the systems. These may or may not, like maybe some of the blues will end up under writing or the category of poetry. Maybe some of these of the beautiful quotes will end up being like becoming a zettel, like I'll read it later and have an original thought about it. Maybe it fits a category, maybe it doesn't. Maybe they're just beautiful quotes that I want to be able to look back on when I open this book up in the future. And then this navy blue is just writers or books mentioned, so that I can make a list or a wish list at the end of this book and have like a reference of who inspired Mary Oliver. So that's what I'm looking at so far. This can grow and change as I read the book. All right, so on the very first page, I used a blue tab, which means I wanted to save something about writing or poetry. So in this case, Mary Oliver describes poetry as a mystical document, and I loved that, and I want to make a note of that. So then I put a little star and said that that was about poetry as mystical document. On page 4, I went with yellow, and that was, again, a beautiful quote or something that I liked. And it was an experience and the urge to tell about it. And I thought that was just a great way to explain humans, how we go through something and we want to talk about it, post about it on social media, journal about it. Like, it's such a human thing to do, to want to create and share out of experience. And then at the end of each chapter, I'm just like giving a little summary about what the chapter was about. So in this case, the intro was about poetry needing to be practiced like any other skill, such as art or music. So on this page in the purple is a commonplace quote. So in this case, I want to talk about writing and showing up every day in the same spot for your craft. And Mary Oliver's quote reads, "It learns quickly what sort of courtship it is going to be. Say you promise to be at your desk in the evenings from 7 to 9. It waits, it watches." And that reminded me of a Francis Coppola quote that I heard in a Lana Del Rey interview a really long time ago. And it read, "If you sit at an office every day, your muse will know where to find you." So setting up the habit, setting up the practice, and like your body becoming accustomed to it, like, okay, all of my creative thoughts, my muse is going to show up at the same time, at the same place every day because I've set up the habit. So I'll probably put this under either writing or habits. So this is something that's going to end up in the Zettelkasten box. So I highlighted, "The subjects that stir the heart are not so many after all, and they do not change. Styles change and the historical backgrounds change. But these are only peripheral matters." Here she's talking about books and like poetry and how important it is to read like across genres and across centuries, because even if the way that it is written might change, the topics don't, because at the end of the day, we've always been human beings and we're always going to talk about the same stuff. So I wrote on top, "I love the idea of subjects remaining across centuries. We have always just been human, always dealing with the same shit." This might end up in the Zettelkasten box as a literature note, because this is more an annotation than it is like a creative writing prompt, but both end up in the Zettel. Okay, so in this case, I was just underlining, circling the people that I wanted to look up later. So here it was Linda Hogan, again, a little summary at the end. And then here there was a whole footnote with like all of these poets, some of which I own. Like I own Elizabeth Bishop. I own Denise Levertov, some who I haven't heard of, like Maxine Cumin. So that's how I'm reading this very slowly. That's how I'm tabbing it. That's how I'm making sure that when I go back into it, it's much easier for me to add it to the systems that already exist. So that's it. Those are the 2 quotes. I made it to my system. This is the book I'm currently reading. I unfortunately do not have time in this video to add these to my system, but I do carry around my index cards with me, my Exacomta A6 and my Foglietto A7s with me. Sometimes I like bring these 2 to my chair, and if I want to write them while I'm reading, I do. I just take this out, write it, put it back in my little pouch, and then at the end of the month, transfer them alongside you. But because this is a much smaller book, I feel good about just leaving everything in it and then making my way through the book again slowly and adding it to the box. So maybe the next video we can sit together, we can either read and annotate together, we can add these to the box. I would love some video ideas. I know some of y'all have left some ideas, such as like, how does queerness show up in my craft? And that is such a good like essay topic. Y'all know I want to start a Substack, and I think that would be a great Substack more so than a video. I'm thinking about starting, so here's what I need from you. I'm thinking about starting a Substack and a Patreon, both fully and completely free, so that I can just play and experiment, and then maybe when I get to like 2K, 3K, then I can monetize it when I have like a habit and I know what I'm doing. And I think I want to use my zettels, like create product from my writing that's not necessarily going towards like a published piece of work, a book. Like I want to give myself deadlines and creative prompts that y'all can like read and follow along with. And then I'd love to just like scan in like journal pages, or scan in like my index cards for the month so you can print them out, put them in your journal, or scan in like blank index cards so you can like write your own and put them in your journal. Like I'd love to make little things you can play with in the Patreon. I'd also eventually like love to have a book club, like let's read and annotate Mary Oliver together. So I need your input on that. Like, would you be interested in that? It'll be fully free, just playtime, like non-consistent, just something to experiment with. Is that something you would be interested in? And if so, like what will you want from a Patreon? What do you look for in a Substack? And then I need video ideas from you all. So I'm thinking of like, I love having like a series. So I do like my wrap-ups. I like doing my bibliomancy. I like showing you my systems that I use. But like, what do you want to see? Do you want to read and annotate with me? Do you want to create cards from a book with me? Do you want to sit and write with me? Like, let's write with my zettels, like how zettels influence my writing. Let's write together. Do you want me to do like, I'd love to do like tarot cards and like create zettels from tarot, like how tarot inspires original ideas. Would you want to see journal flip throughs that have nothing to do with commonplacing? Like what am I journaling about? What is my planner looking like this month? Like, I need y'all to brainstorm. You're my viewers. I know what I like and what I want to do, but I also want to see like what you like, what you want to do. Who is my audience and what do you want? Please let me know. Leave a comment. I love you all so much. We literally have 28 seconds on the clock. I've barely made a dent in my coffee. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking around with me, and I love you all so much. Bye.